hunger is an issue that is talked about in so many arenas. But is there a particular driver for either one of you to really want to support the cause?
You look in our communities and you realize the abundance that we have, and then you see the disparity and you think to yourself, how can we let this happen? There's food that goes to the places that it's paid for, and it passes right by the people that need it. Look, we eat every day.
It's a fundamental.
It's a fundamental.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have nutrition, especially with kids. You know, the kids that come to school hungry, they don't learn as well. You know, it's something that's just so visceral right in front of us.
Everybody knows what it feels like to be hungry, and I think it brings a lot of people together, and it's really fun to see, which is not a word you'd maybe normally associate with it, but fun to see how all those different arenas of people find a way to make an impact, to use what they love or to use what fuels them and drives them to be part of something bigger. Welcome to this week's episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. We've really enjoyed conversations throughout the year with a variety of people who are sharing about their involvement with Feeding South Dakota, why the fight to end hunger is important to them, and different ways that you can be involved. And today is no exception. Today we're talking with some great individuals who had a very unique way of supporting Feeding South Dakota in our 50th year. So we're going to talk about how this fundraiser was inspired, the work that went into it, and what the future of it looks like. But before we get started, I'm going to have you introduce yourselves. Why don't you? I don't care who goes first. You guys don't fight over it. We should have arm wrestled.
Yeah, I'll go first. My name's Lance Smith. I live here in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
And what else do you want to know?
What do you do? What do you do for?
I work for FMNE,
Okay.
formerly known as Farmers Mutual of Nebraska. I've been with them for 26 years as a claims adjuster.
Okay.
I've been married for 30 years to my wife, Tammy. I have two sons. Gavin is a junior at SDSU, and my son, Griffin, is a junior in high school at Harrisburg.
Okay, so you've been around Sioux Falls most of your life?
I grew up in northeast Nebraska in Norfolk, Nebraska, but I went to Augustana College. I call it college because that's what it was when I was there.
Yes.
I've lived in Sioux Falls since 1990.
Okay.
So I've lived more in South Dakota than I've lived in Nebraska. Home. So yeah, I consider South Dakota home now.
Great.
You did a little wrestling at Augie too.
Yep, that's kind of what brought me up here. Is I wanted to pursue wrestling in college, and Augustana was really the only place that showed any interest, so I came.
Right. That worked.
Yeah.
That's great. Barry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Barry Sackett. I managing partner at Gooseman Law Firm. We have offices here, Omaha and Sioux City. I grew up in Northwest Iowa, over around Okoboji, grade school in Spirit Lake and high school in Spencer. Have lived some other places. Went to school in Iowa City. Go Hawks.
That's very controversial.
I know. Well, I don't mind stirring up a little bit of trouble. That's what we do. But also lived in Minneapolis and got a degree at Minnesota too. So go Gophers. But came back. My wife is a teacher at Harrisburg High, and I have two kids, a sophomore and a senior. Isn't Griffin a senior? Griffin is a senior.
Oh, yeah. What did I say? Is a junior?
Yeah, I was going to say they're the same grade.
That's a lot to remember.
It is a lot to remember. I tried to put it all together. So involved in Downtown Rotary, and our firm does a lot with the hunger issue. We have what we call the hunger jury, and as far as our philanthropic efforts as a firm, we focus on hunger issues.
That's great. So we're gonna come back to that in a little bit. But tell me, how did the two of you get connected? You remember?
Cowboy Trail.
Yep.
Oh, what is this?
In 2019, I was my best friend from high school's mother passed away, and she loved going to the Norfolk Senior Center and where we grew up. So as a way to honor her, I came up with an idea of let's help the place she loved to go. They were in the middle of trying to raise money for some renovations and things like that. So I came up with the idea to try to get other people to run with me 100 miles on this trail in Nebraska called the Cowboy Trail.
Okay.
And a mutual friend of Barry and I's was creating a relay, And that's where Barry got involved and came along and was a part of that process when we were back in 2019.
You connected there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't connect. We knew of each other then, and then our sons ended up being in the same class here at Harrisburg. And Lance called my wife one day and says, "Hey, do you know Barry Sackett?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact." And then she came home and said, "I think it's another one of those crazy runners is after you."
Yeah. Yeah, because back in 2019, I was doing the whole 100. He was in this relay that was put together. So I really never even saw Barry. But I remembered the name. And when I saw the name, and there's an app we use too called Strava, and I kept seeing his name pop up in Okoboji, Iowa, and I recalled that's where he lived. So I took a chance when I got the email.
And you hunted him down.
Yes.
I think, that would have been probably in 2021.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe.
So there's a common theme that keeps coming up, and that's running. And
Yes.
I disclosed before we were recording that I'm not a runner, so we're not going to talk about, best times or anything. I don't know all the running things. But that is really what the conversation today is centered around is, Lance, you said, you came up with this idea. And that kind of maybe seems to be your forte because as we were just going into our 50th year here, you had a unique idea come up. So can you talk a little bit about how that came to be with how you ended up supporting Feeding South Dakota in our 50th year?
Sure. Yeah, Barry and I have run together thousands of miles over the short time that we've known each other. I think back in 2020 when COVID was in the midst of us causing all of us to do things a little differently, I heard about somebody who ran to a bunch of gas stations and used them as like aid stations as a way to handle a long run and not have to carry a bunch of things, nutrition and drinks, or have somebody support you. I was like, oh, we have tons of gas station chains, and I started looking like, how could that work out? So we've run to other gas station chains before, like the Get and Go's, the Casey's, the Circle K's, and I did the Holidays before they were Circle K's. And so when I saw the Kwik Stars starting to be built out in South Dakota or in our area, Sioux Falls, started to see how many there were, and I was like, well, it's just
It's a lot of aid stations.
we're going to be running to all of them is basically what's going to happen. I was just kind of waiting for them to be built.
They were built very quickly.
They were.
Yeah. And then when I started getting coupons in the mail, with all the addresses, I was like, I started mapping it out, and it came to a 50K, which is 31 miles. And then after that, I think I saw some sort of an ad or heard about the 50 years for Feeding South Dakota, and it just seemed to click, 50K, 50 miles, or 50 years. How could, we're brainstorming ideas.
This seems to just align perfectly.
Yeah.
What can we do with the number 50?
Yes. Run, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my wife's friend, one of her friends, is a manager of one of the Kwik Star stores, and so I talked to her, and they said, well, we support Feeding South Dakota as an organization, and then we reached out on all fronts. I think we reached out in about 3 different ways, and eventually things came together.
It all started pulling together. So
It did.
from the time you sort of had that click of how can we use this to the day of the race, how long of a span do you think that was that you worked to pull that together?
I don't think it was very long. These things usually start happening in the winter when you're kind of in the doldrums and it's not real nice out, so you're kind of like, what can we do when it gets nice? Maybe January.
I remember we did something, and then I said the next thing's got to be Kwik Star, and then you went home and he sent me he's the cartographer, the map guy. He figures out what our routes are, and so he said this is all the stuff. And then we started looking at dates because his son is a great runner. He's the lead runner on the Harrisburg's cross country team now, and so we had to work around track meets, and we had to work around all of our other schedules.
Yeah.
And then we came up with a date in
it was late April. I think we did it this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's kind of questionable weather in South Dakota. I mean, you could have had a snowstorm.
Yeah.
We could have.
But it ended up being a nice day.
Oh, it was very nice.
It was a nice day to run 31 miles. I don't know if I'll ever have that in my life, but I, commend you. So then there's advertising that goes into it, and I imagine with a running community, that's kind of a pretty easy thing to throw out there and say, hey, let's all get together and run the Kwik Stars.
Yeah, I started immediately making little videos or just throwing it out to people, like, here's what we're going to do, just kind of, I always throw it out, like, create your own adventure. Like, not everybody's going to want to do the full 31 miles,
right.
but you could run between a couple of them, or run between one, or help us out, or ask people for donations, or find their own way to make it work for them
to be a part of
and still be a part of it. Exactly.
So it's race day, you're gathering at the first Kwik Star. Did you have any idea how many people would show up? Because it wasn't a pre-registration, right? It was just we're going to do this, show up on this day.
Yeah, as legal counsel for the run, I probably didn't check all the boxes as far as liability.
Okay,
we
could cut that out, but
we could, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. But we did work with the Sioux Falls Running Club, and they've got a great database of runners in town, and then also kind of stood behind stepping up and getting people there. And then we also have a connection with Kylie at Kelloland.
Oh, sure.
We run around the city once a month. We've been doing this for a couple of years, and she did a story on us a little while ago. And I think was that where that came up, or did she do a separate one? She did a separate one.
Yeah, that was a separate one about us running the Sioux Fu Loop.
Yeah,
I think we're in year 3 of that. It's a 20-mile loop around Sioux Falls that we do
every
once a
month.
Yeah,
just fuzz.
But yeah, so we reached out to some news media. They sent out an email to, I think, over 1,000 members of the running club. Just, hey, even if you don't want to do it, you can donate or tell somebody about it.
And I saw a picture from that day, and there were even dogs. There were dogs that were part of the run, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everybody just comes and does their thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my dog Darwin runs with me every day, and he's
awesome.
run every time around the city with us.
So 31 miles is no big deal.
No big deal.
He did the whole thing.
Yeah. He was.
He's a world famous.
I'm just
dog.
in awe over here. If you can't tell, like, my reaction to everything is like, wow, that's incredible.
Everybody knows Darwin. Like, he's just a great.
He's a known face in the community.
And Lance says that he does a couple of videos. He does videos almost every day and documents a lot of people in the community. Just had a great video on Brian Harms, who did the Cowboy Trail, the whole 200-mile Cowboy Trail. Finished a couple days ago, 67 years old, finished it in 52 hours. Just amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's fun.
And I think, I keep saying I'm in awe, and, you think about those long runs and those unique runs that even if you're a runner, a regular, everyday runner, you run to work out, you might not be that distance runner. And so those are the things that really draw attention for the running community and make them really great fundraisers. And that, to your point, is what I just kept remembering about your Kwik Star run, was that 50K for 50 years of Feeding South Dakota. And it just really worked well together. But it checked something off your list too by getting that Kwik Star group together. So how many people were part of the run?
I had to go back because it seems like it was so long ago, but I watched the video, and at the start there was 22 of us.
Okay,
which
that's
I was
a good
really
number.
blown away at how many people showed up. We started at 7 from the location down on 57th Street, and
did you have good sidewalks and stuff the whole run? Because some of them are in newer parts of town.
Yeah, I think we ran a mix of sidewalk, on the road.
Oh, Barry, is this where you're like, we can't comment?
A little bit, yeah. We didn't exactly have permits for the streets.
It was very informal.
but Lance and I rode it on our bikes the week before. I think you rode it a couple times on your bike. So you had had
a good idea.
Yeah, so he was the leader for sure. Me and Darwin kind of were the struggle bus at the end to make sure we didn't lose anybody off the back. But
I think you were just being diligent,
not
the struggle bus.
Exactly.
You were just
right.
Sure
yeah, Darwin's a good herder. He kept everybody in line.
And the pace wasn't very, it wasn't
Yeah.
fast. It's modest. I think we told people that too. We're not looking to set any PRs.
It's not a race.
Yeah, and I think Lance ate a dunker at every single Kwik Star.
Oh my God! And then ran. Okay.
Yeah, people were using them as aid stations.
It was
drinking.
the real deal.
Yep, the whole thing.
Well, and then at the end, Kwik Star presented a check in support of the run and Feeding South Dakota, which was a really great opportunity as well.
Another 5,000 to match up with the 50 and the 50.
Yeah, that was really great. And I mean, it just, I think fundraisers like this help people understand that you just find your strength and you can use your strength to support, right? And that worked well for the 50th year, but what's it look like going forward?
Well, we may do
You're,
a little more.
You're out of Kwik Stars. You're out.
Yeah.
We could add Brandon and Harrisburg and probably make a 50-mile. Which,
oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's a lot.
I haven't mapped that out, but it probably would be close.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, that would be incredible.
We haven't really talked about like what's next, but we usually are inspired to do something. We've had other runs in Sioux Falls that we've done. Like a few years ago, we ran to every track in Sioux Falls, and then we ran 1 mile on each track, and in between them, that ended up being, I think, a 54-mile day.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the shortest you would run? we should back that up a little bit. 200, no problem.
Yeah.
3 miles, I don't know. It's not worth it. Not worth it to go out there.
So I'm sure in the depths of winter we will put our plan together. But we love the partnership that we created with Feeding South Dakota and Kwik Star. I think they're going to be even more, because when we first called people, they kind of like, you're going to do what? But now we can show them a video, which Lance put together. We say, we're going to do this.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Barry, the first time you and I talked about it, I mistakenly said 5K, and you were very quick to say 50, which rightfully so. But it did take a little bit for it to sink in with me when the talk started around here about, there's this couple of runners are going to do a 50K fundraiser, and I was 50. So, it is, that scheming that you do in the winter really does pay off. And it's been a great opportunity for the awareness. It's just another way to inject the conversation about hunger and the need for food and all of the programs that help support that. And that leads me a little bit, Barry, into then your hunger jury. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, we get we've got, 27 attorneys that work with us, and they're all members of the community and involved in their community, but we wanted one thing that the firm could focus on. We have a lot of clients who are in agriculture and food production, and we thought, well, this is an area that we can leverage our relationships and really do good things for the community. So we work with our clients to focus on hunger issues. We've been volunteers at Feeding South Dakota for several years. And when this started coming together, I said, Lance, let's do this. I did tell you about the pickle podcast, and we're planning a race down to the pickle that we would support Feeding South Dakota. So we'd feed a lot of people pickles, which is another story. But maybe that's
great
that's
for
another
runners,
one.
right? For muscle cramps. Okay,
That's
see, I
right.
know a little bit about
There
it.
you go. There you go. Yeah. So it's been a great relationship, and in these times when a lot of funding is being cut and everything else, we know that there's got to be innovative ways to do these things, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as it was. So what can we do, and what leverage can we bring with our clients or with our legal advice to do good things?
So, hunger is an issue that is talked about in so many arenas, but is there a particular driver for either one of you to really want to support the cause? Just 50th anniversary?
Well, you look in our communities and you realize the abundance that we have, and then you see the disparity, and you think to yourself, how can we let this happen? And a lot of it is logistics. There's food that goes to the places that it's paid for, and it passes right by the people that need it. And it's something that's very easy to touch. And look, we eat every day.
It's a fundamental.
It's a fundamental.
Yeah.
You've got to have nutrition, and especially with kids and learning. I know my wife's a teacher at Harrisburg, as I said, and the kids that come to school hungry, they don't learn as well. So it's something that's just so visceral right in front of us.
I do think that's a driving factor for a lot of people. Is everybody knows what it feels like to be hungry, and if you've never been hungry, you can't imagine going to your cupboard and there's not food there, right, to appease that hunger. So I think it brings a lot of people together, and it's really fun to see, which is not a word you'd maybe normally associate with it, but fun to see how all those different arenas of people find a way to make an impact, to use what they love or to use what fuels them and drives them to be part of something bigger. So we're grateful that you did that, and that you've helped us acknowledge our 50th year. I do have one question for you before we go, and this was not in your list of things. So, if Feeding South Dakota or not Feeding South Dakota, if South Dakota, the state of South Dakota, were a fruit or a vegetable, what would it be and why? And I mean like a particular fruit or vegetable, not just the category.
Well,
A fruit or a vegetable?
something hearty.
Okay.
I'm almost thinking a root vegetable. I always like saying rutabaga, so I'm going with a rutabaga.
Just because you like the word.
Just,
And okay.
and it's a tough, nutritious, hearty piece.
That's the
piece
first
of fruit.
rutabaga answer I've had. So,
Awesome.
yeah. How about you, Lance?
Boy, you got me.
It's hard.
How about a pickle?
I was sure you were going to say that. I was sure you were going to say pickle.
Yeah, I was thinking apple
Okay.
because just something with a hearty outside, but kind of people from South Dakota on the outside are kind of tough.
Yep.
And not an apple's tough, but it has a skin, you know. And when you get to the inside of it, I think all South Dakotans have, a soft heart for places like this and finding their passions and ways to help others come alongside them, whether it's Feeding South Dakota or many of the other organizations that are out there. You got to let your guard down, follow your heart, find what you're good at, and then go for it. Don't let little things like logistics and starting stop you.
Stop you.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's the start that stops most people. Just go forward and find a way, and it will start snowballing.
Your first inclination was a great one to go with. That was a really good assimilation to South Dakota. So that was really good. If people want to watch your video, Lance, or learn more about your Kwik Star run or your other runs, where would they go?
I just post stuff on YouTube.
Okay.
Lance Smith, YouTube.
All right. Check that out.
Kwik Star 50K, you probably could find it.
All right. And Barry, how about if anybody has an interest in the Hunger Jury and the work that they're doing, where would they go?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to Gooseman Law Firm here in town, and on our webpage, we've got that. We've got some podcasts that we do on that subject. Actually, we've got one coming up that we're going to produce here in the next couple of weeks. Also, as I mentioned before, I've got a podcast called The Pickle Podcast, a while running podcast that we run around the Yankton Trail soccer fields, which we call The Pickle for because of Lance, actually, because he likes pickles. But anyway, it's fun. It's just it's local runners and kind of what their story is and what brought them to running, and it's just fun.
That's great.
To do.
That's great. A great thing to listen to.
Yeah.
Even if you're a non-runner.
Right.
You can
exactly.
learn about people. And
you
why
can
they
learn
run.
about very unique people.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you had a great takeaway. It has been so much fun being able to talk about the 50K for 50 years and just the really unique way that Lance and Barry pulled this together. And it just exemplifies the opportunity to take what you love, take what you're good at, and find a way to give back through that. You don't have to be here at Feeding South Dakota volunteering. You don't have to be writing a check or bringing food in to support. There are many, many ways to support not only Feeding South Dakota, but anybody, any place, any organization in your community that's making a difference. So thanks for being here today. We look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you.